doing this work for yourself and you just got done watching the connectedness roadmap and you're like, great, now we're ready. We're gonna make sure that everyone on the team is trained. There are these parallel moves that we're doing inside the organization. Everyone has the training, we are great. There's nothing else that's needed, right? There's a second roadmap. I know, you're probably thinking, how many roadmaps are there? There are just two. The first is the connectedness roadmap. The second is what we call the embedment roadmap. The embedment roadmap is a little bit simpler in practice, so let me explain to you what this looks like. So, when we look at this, the connectedness roadmap is how everyone is getting training. Everyone is getting the tools and support to be able to learn how to communicate better, for example, from the CEO to the executive team, to your people managers, to your staff, and then you sort of stop and you're like, okay, well, everyone's been trained, we're great, right? But 70% of organizational trainings fail within a year. You don't see them last within a year. Why? Because they were never embedded. And a lot of times what happens is something like this. You get the training and you get like a one-pager after, and the one-pager tells you, here's how to practice it. And your first couple of months, you are doing great as an organization. Everyone is using it. It is fantastic. And then you're like, we just got really busy. It was Q4 for us. We didn't have time to use the framework. And so we set it to the side. Oh, we'll use it in our next meeting. Oh, you know what? This is too much work. Or new people came inside of your organization and you said, oh, well, we don't know how to train them, or we haven't figured out how to train them. So let's just like not use this for a while, because then those folks won't know what to do, and you start to set it to the aside. The intent is always so good, right? You start off so strong where you're like, we have invested in all this training for everyone across our team. Everyone's got the tools, the framework, but we have not figured out how to embed it into our daily practices. The embedment roadmap is simple. How do we actually then take what we've learned and embed it inside of our organizational practices? And I am not talking, y'all, about you need to invent something new. I'm talking about literally pulling up your calendar right now and looking at the meetings that you have today. You know what? Every week we have a one-to-one meeting. Every week we have an all-team meeting. How are you going to embed the inclusive communication framework, for example, into your meeting agendas? How are you going to embed it into your performance evaluation practices, or how you onboard individuals, getting into HR and talent systems? How are you embedding it into when you start doing strategic planning? We're going to make sure that those communication practices that we learned are embedded into when we have conversations about strategic planning. The idea behind this is you want to make sure the training isn't just about what you learn, it's about how you embed it into practice. Because if you can embed it, then it becomes natural. It becomes something that you do on a day-to-day, and then you don't have time to think about whether or not you're not going to use it, because it is ingrained into your culture and your people experience in the way that you work. Now, one other thing that I want to caution here is that there is a difference between implementation, adoption, and embedment. Implementation is we're going to implement the framework as we have learned it. That's where organizations get stuck, because they're like, but I have this one pager. But that one pager becomes something else they have to remember to pick up or use or pull into conversations. Adoption says we're going to start to adopt this into our model and start to use this in our meetings and practices. But again, it's that one pager. Embedment says let's get rid of the one pager and start to think about how it naturally shows up in our conversations and in all that we do. Think about it like this. When you're in implementation phase and you're in adoption phase, you will do things like this. We're in a meeting, we're having a conversation, everything feels supernatural, and then someone says, wait, we need to use the 5 styles of inclusive communication right now, everyone. And everyone goes, yes, let's pull that out. Have you seen the framework? And they go to Google Drive and they look for it. And I'm joking, y'all. You're probably like, oh my gosh, I've done this, and that is so awkward. It is. But on top of that, it means you're still at the implementation or adoption phase, because you're still using it as an add-on and not as something that's ingrained in the work. Embedding means that we've taken that, and in conversation, we're like, oh, you know what? Have we thought about, like, have we paused and made sure that this individual's voice is heard? Because we know that you tend to want to like step back and think about things. We want to give you the space to do that, but now we want to hear that your voice is heard in this. Don't worry, this is all going to make sense in a second when you watch the next video on inclusive styles. But The example here is one that shows up so many times in organizations where we're like, here's the tool, here's the framework, and I pull it out. But if you really want to see your organization be people-centered, you want to see it be embedded in all of your practices and really transform the people experience of your organization, you've got to be reaching for that embedment journey, not the adoption, not the implementation journey. So the embedment roadmap says, get beyond that one pager, get beyond that toolkit, and figure out how to pull it into your practices. If you do, it becomes second nature and really changes and shifts how your organization operates.